Hello, hello. Welcome back to People Junkie, a podcast about people and their stories, as everyone has one. And maybe you could connect with someone you never thought you would. If you've been following the podcast, we so appreciate it. And if you're new to it, thanks for joining. Today's word of the day is community, as per Oxford Languages defines as a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. And today's guest is all about community. Not only has he held different roles in the healthcare industry for more than 25 years, but he has expanded his reach in other communities in Southern California. With his role as CEO and founder of the Klownski movement, which includes the Klownski Foundation, a nonprofit working with those in the disability community, pediatric cancer patients, and the homeless. He has also started the Klownski Travel Group, which started off as a travel group following the Los Angeles Dodgers, now the 2020 World Series Los Angeles Dodgers, that is, and now has expanded to other Los Angeles teams. Without further ado, I bring you Sergio Franco, aka Klownski. Hello, Sergio. How are you?
Hello, pretty good. How are you?
Well, I'm great. Thank you for joining People Junkie. So let's get started. A lot of people are probably thinking Klownski. What's that? So let's get into that. What is Klownski, or who is Klownski?
Well, my name's Sergio Franco. The name kind of was given to me back in the day. So I can go as far back as 8, 9 years old. And I was actually given the name Clown. And it was actually in Spanish. So my parents used to call me Payaso. And so it just evolved from there. And my friends ended up calling me Clown and Little Clown. I was always kind of center of attention. And my family is a big comedic family. So I learned from them. And so they had me dancing and telling these, jokes and stuff like that in front of them. And we used to just all have a great time. So I used to clown around a lot. I used to, do a bunch of different stuff. And so that's where the name came from. It was Clown. And then as I got older, people just started adding the SKI at the end. So it was Klownski. So the name came from the word clown, and ski came from, because I used to use everything. I used to end everything with SKI. So Brewski or Broski. Yeah. So it ended up like, hey, one day just Klownski. And very, very rare do I ever hear Serge or Sergio or anything like that. So everybody just knows me as either Clown or Klownski. So, that's where the name came from.
Well, that's awesome. I'm going to go a little bit into your background. You've worked in the healthcare industry for several years, at least 25 years. How did you go from that to starting, the Klownski movement,
Yeah.
including the foundation and the travel group? We'll talk about
Yeah.
that travel group more, though.
Yeah. So I'm still in the healthcare industry. So I'm a finance consultant. I still have my contracts, I still have my employment. I still do that full time. So
Mhm.
I've done that for over 25 years. In the last kind of 10 years, I started doing a lot of events. And it was because mainly, from our Mexican kind of background, we have very large families. So we used to
Yeah, we do.
we used to get together and have these awesome dances and family picnics and things like that. But, we got older and the elders got older and, kind of moved on to, better places. And it just kind of left the next generation lingering.
Mhm.
So I just kind of took charge or tried to take charge and try to start doing, family events and stuff like that. So that was one of the things that got me going with the whole kind of Klownski movement. So it actually started with about 40 people in the beginning, and it was all family and friends. And it just started kind of spreading out, and people started enjoying, what we were doing and traveling and going to different stadiums and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden it just started growing, and we got to the 100 mark and the 200 mark. And, currently now we're like 15,000 people that follow.
Wow.
So that's how it kind of moved, and it was all part-time. It was all fun at the on the weekends and stuff like that. So it never really interfered with my kind of work during the week. So the Klownski movement started, and it took a while for me to even branded, because I didn't know what I was going to call this thing. It was just kept growing and growing and growing every year. So I didn't really know what to call it. I went with my last name, my kids' names. I did a bunch of, stuff. And then one of my buddies says, dude, you're already branded as a clown, and Klownski. Why don't you just call it Klownski? And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. I said, all right, we'll do the Klownski stuff. And so that's when all this stuff started happening, and we started doing very large events. So 200-300 people, and it started growing really fast.
What kind of events, if you don't mind?
So the first one that we started with was the Dodger Stadium. And I invited the family, the friends, the cousins, the friends, and we just hung out. And we didn't even watch the game. So it was just fun seeing them because, it's very hard. Either we see them in a funeral or a wedding. So, so this way it was like, we got to do something so that we can stay in touch. And we didn't even watch the game. We just had a fun time, and we could hear the game, but we were more co-mingling, and it just turned into like a party. So that's kind of what happened there. And then people just started getting attracted to it. It was a fun thing where, you can have friends over and family, and it really just a party, a reunion. And the game was just in the background. And so it started growing. And then we started, hey, why don't we get a bus and let's start heading out to different stadiums, to barbecues, state lines, Laughlin, Vegas, stuff like that. And so it started gaining lots of momentum, and that's how it started growing. So yeah, different types of events like that. It eventually evolved into dances and galas and things like that. So currently we do all kinds of different stuff, which we think we'll get into in a little bit. But
absolutely.
Yeah, it was definitely people just love doing that stuff, and then it started getting to the point where there was actually people that were following that were lonely, that didn't have a family, and then they ended up the Klownski family. And so that's how it started kind of growing, where it was just not family anymore. It was more like extended family. And so we just started gaining momentum year after year after year. So like I mentioned, we started at 40, and now we do events from 500, 600, 700 people and things like that. So that's how that started. The foundation kind of was picked up from that. So one of my buddies had mentioned a club in downtown LA. Said, I think it would be good if you join that club. It's a City Club Los Angeles. You'll meet a lot of people there, and maybe they can help you out and things like that. So I said, all right, I'll go check it out. And once I got there, then I started meeting different people and things like that. And they mentioned, you know what, I think you're better off as a nonprofit and a charity, because you give a lot of that stuff back to charity. So why don't you just do start your charity? And I was like, well, that's way out of my league. Again, I come from a business background, but I had no clue how to get started and stuff like that. So they took me under their wing and basically said, hey, look, this is the way you structure it. This is the people you want. This is, and so they started helping me out with that. And then that's when I sat down and started thinking about it, and then, kind of the purpose and things like that. And that's when the Red Nose was born.
You definitely, you have a red nose that you put on. I saw some of the pictures, and those of you who are actually watching the podcast, you'll be able to see some of those pictures. But if you can, when you're listening to this on Spotify, Sergio, aka Klownski, is going to give you his handles where you could actually see some of these pictures, but definitely go ahead with that red nose.
Yeah, so that's when the Red Nose evolved. So we were hanging out, and obviously the little light bulb flashed, and I said, well, why don't we just start raising awareness? My son, who's disabled, has cerebral palsy, he's in a wheelchair, and things like that. Why don't we start raising awareness and start, doing something? And we had a very large crowd, and and one day I popped the red nose and I made everyone laugh. And then that's when I said, wait a minute, if we all wear red noses, maybe we'll get some attention, and that's how I was born. And so we had an event a couple of years before, and it was actually Vince Scully's final game.
Oh, wow. So can you explain to Anyone who doesn't know who Vince Scully is, how amazing he is.
Yeah. So Vince Scully was a broadcaster for the Dodgers. I'm not sure if anybody doesn't know who he is, but if you don't know who he was a broadcaster for 67 years. So
he was the voice of the Los
he was a
Angeles
voice
Dodgers.
of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And so it was his final year, and I decided to do the event. And it happened so fast, and I wasn't aware how fast it was going to grow, that I ended up creating an event page on Facebook, and I called it Vince Scully's retirement party, right?
I remember that. That's when I started following you.
Yeah. So people actually felt like, okay, this is Vince Scully's retirement party, when it was actually his last and final game that I was going to get tickets to. So people just kind of say, well, what is this? And they started clicking on follow. And it ended up just going all over the place. And it reached, I think, 15,000 people following and stuff like that. So anyways, in the beginning, nobody even thought, well, the last game and Vince Scully and, and I said, this is going to be a memorable game. And so I ended up reserving, I think it was like 200 tickets. I said, you know what, 200 tickets is good. Hold 200 for me. And
how does one reserve that many tickets?
Well, I already had the relationship with the Dodgers. So, and I've been doing, again, it was averaging 150, 200 people a game. Mm-hmm. So I just told my representative, you know what, let's reserve 200. I think we'll be good with 200. Mm-hmm. And then by the time the game happened, we were at 700. So 700 on the stands, raising awareness for children with disabilities, childhood cancer, the homeless. It just created this big, huge buzz. Red noses everywhere, things like that, cheering, making noise, the wave, things like that. So that's where the traction, kind of started taking place. And by that time I was already joining the city club and, getting the charity going and things like that. So it all kind of just worked out where it was like, you know what, that's it. That's my calling. And I've always been a charitable person. I've always participated in charities, but why not have your own charity? Because everything we were raising was going back to the community. So that's when it all kind of started. And then it kind of took off from that.
You talked a little bit about your son. Just to let you know a little bit about my background, I've worked with special needs kids since I was 21 years old and over 20 years. Wow. And and I completely understand. And that's one of the things why I gravitated towards you. And I really appreciate what your foundation does. And you also talked about your family. Talk a little bit more about how your family has helped you with the foundation, and and also talk a little bit about the three main charities or people that you gravitate towards helping.
Yeah. So again, my son is in a wheelchair. I have three kids. I have a 25-year-old, and then I have a 12-year-old, and then a 10-year-old.
Wow.
A 12-year-old, he's going to be 12 in the next month. So the 10-year-old who's going to be 11 is in the wheelchair. So I don't think people understand the work that happens behind the scenes. You can see me smiling and putting red noses and putting smiles on people's faces, but people don't realize the work and the toll it takes on the background. So the physical toll, where my son understands everything you tell him, but he's not mobile. So he doesn't walk, he doesn't talk, he says a couple of words. And then, so I needed to raise awareness for that and for them. And then the other thing was, anywhere we go, we get stared at, right? Everybody stares at somebody with a wheelchair, somebody with crutches.
Unfortunately,
it just stare. So I wanted to make sure people understood that it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to say hi to them. It's okay to wave at them. It's okay. They understand. You can talk to them. You can feel the warmth when you talk to them, the smile. If you go into my website, you'll see all his smiles. On any of the social media, you'll see him smiling and stuff like that. But in the background, you guys don't understand what the parents go through and the challenges that happen in the background. So of course, the motivation is my kids and my wife, my family, my mom, my dad. So they're my motivation behind everything. I've done what I had to do already. I've enjoyed my life, but now it's all about giving back and putting smiles on kids' faces. So working with people like Autism Speaks, my son doesn't have autism, but it's a disability. I don't like using the word disability. But it's a challenge, and we all have challenges. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that my son has disabilities, but we all have disabilities as well. So you wear glasses, it's a disability. You take the glasses off, you probably won't be able to see across the street. So most of us wear glasses. So I just wanted to make sure that awareness was there and people understood that it's okay. It's okay that they're disabled and stuff like that, but don't stare at them, say hello to them and reach out to them, it makes the parents feel good and things like that when you support them and not kind of exclude anyone. And we'll get into that exclusion thing when we talk about the lounge, but but that's the main thing. And then obviously I met Hiccups, the clown, which is, he's a Dodger clown, and he was doing a lot of charity work as well with kids with cancer and the homeless. So I gravitated to him. We became brothers. He's a president of the foundation. So together we formed this just awesome relationship with the rest of the crew. And we're just out there. We're just out there trying to change people's lives. And the primary goal is to put smiles on people's faces. So creating the smiles is the best feeling that you can ever get. So
absolutely,
if people can treat people like humane, regardless of whatever you are or wherever you live, then we've made an impact. So
yeah, I've also seen, a couple pictures about the work that you've done with pediatric children with cancer, and you have this clown, the Klownski, right? But it's a doll. Talk a little bit about that, how it came about, and how you feel it helps those children with cancer.
Yeah, so being a clown all my life and making people smile and laugh and stuff like that it was automatic for me to just create whatever I could create. So I'm a very artistic person, as you can see in the background. I painted those paintings in the back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I create a bunch of different things and crafts and stuff like that. So one day I just said, you know what makes somebody feel warmth, and having my kids around, they were the judges and they were the ones that were telling me, I think we should go this route or whatever. Cause I knew if I made them smile, I could make the others smile. So I created a clown, a doll, and I bought all the parts to it. It was a blank doll. And then I just added noses and glued noses and stuff like that. And then, sure enough, it was, people just wanted them and making everybody feel comfortable and happy and loving. And it was more like a security blanket, right? So kids love security blankets. This is what the dolls were meant to do. And then it just evolved, it was just this thing where I was contacted by several people where they offered to make the dolls. So it was like maybe 3 different phases. And at the end, it was a crochet doll that I ended up with. Yeah. And so I made hundreds of these dolls through the donations, and I started passing them out. And just the relationships I was building with kids with cancer and the disabled and, stuff like that, where I was building these relationships with the families and stuff like that. And I would say, hey, you know what, would you like a doll? And sure enough, I started getting pictures and things like that from kids while they're in chemo. And it was their comfort, or they were going to go get, something put into their, arms, and going through chemotherapy is just terrible. And I've been there, and that experience of the pain. Wow. And I can't understand how a child can even go through that. So just providing that little comfort just with the little dolls, kind of was the best feeling in the world. I can give up everything I had to make a little doll and have a little boy or girl, go through chemotherapy, radiation, just this crazy stuff that they go through, and helps with comforting. I've had kids or parents send me messages that it helps them sleep, at night, and they cuddle with it, stuff like that. So that's how that whole movement evolved. And I still have some people can still, and you know what it was. And so people just thought that I was making them for them, but then it grew into like the adults, where they were going through depression and that's a disability and anxiety. And they started reaching out to me and how can I get a doll? And, just send me your address. I'll send you the doll, and help them through kind of a lot of widows, male and female that, lost their loved one. And, hey, here's a doll, man, put it there and just have the reminder of, your husband or your wife, and just, they started just reaching out like that. And then so.
Especially during the time of COVID, I know I lost about 5 family members, and I never knew what anxiety was.
Yeah.
And now I do. So I could definitely understand, especially when you're living by yourself and you don't have a pet, and you're like, okay, I could only touch my, hug myself for so long. So how did, your travel group and your foundation, and again, we'll talk about the lounge soon. How did it affect you and and all that you do?
Well, to be honest with you, we just took a huge hit. Our events are events. So once that was stopped and we weren't able to do events, then we couldn't raise money or do anything like that. And nobody really helped us. The government didn't help us. We're a tiny, charity.
Nope.
So there's good and bad news, right? I didn't lose out. I don't know, no money, none of this money goes into my pocket. So it all goes back to the community. So I wasn't really impacted myself, but the kids, we couldn't visit children's hospitals. We couldn't visit Ronald McDonald houses. We couldn't go to home Skid Row. We couldn't they're the ones I think got more affected than anything, because we've built relationships with these people. So it's not like, it's just the homeless down the street and that's it. We actually build relationships. So we're able to talk to people, and I've given my personal cell phone to the homeless, and they call me whenever they need someone to talk to, if they need any kind of food, if they need any kind of medical help, any of that stuff. And I have several people that are homeless. And when I say homeless, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about the ones in the street, but there's a lot of shelters, there's a lot of people that live in these tiny little rooms just to get them off the street. So those are still homeless. They don't have their homes, or they don't have a home. Yeah. So a lot of these guys want to, work and they want to do stuff, but they're just stuck in this, system that doesn't really help. So, things like that, I think that's where they were affected more than I was. So I knew I could take the back seat. I wasn't going to take a financial hit, but it was hurting me that I wasn't able to do what I was doing, and the momentum that was built. We had already built this huge momentum where now COVID hits, and then it just wiped the whole momentum out, and we got to just kind of restart. So we took a little bit of a hit. Obviously, it's starting to gain a little bit more traction. Now we're a little bit more careful, with this whole COVID situation. But, we try to wear a mask. We try to cleanse our, our hands and stuff like that. So we take as much precautions as we can. And but it's still to this day, we're still impacted by it. So, but our work will never end. So regardless of COVID or non-COVID, if we can reach out through Zoom, through phone calls, through whatever we can, whatever communications, then we're still winning. But it's a long fight, and but we're not going to give up. So we'll always be here.
No, that's amazing. And again, because I do follow some of your social media, and I do see that you guys are out there, you and Hiccups and other volunteers, which is, in this day and age, such a fabulous thing to have. Talk more about, what things that you're able to do for those who are homeless right now, because I've seen you give out food and other things. So if you can go a little bit more into that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, well, our goal is not just to feed the homeless. So a lot of people will say, well, they're not hungry. They're not dying of hunger. And the one thing that I tell people is that we're not feeding the homeless. We're just making them feel like they're part of society. Like you can still talk to them. Wow. You can still relate to them. They have some of the best stories. They weren't always homeless. So they still have a history. They just, ended up in the streets. So a lot of them are definitely drug use, alcohol use, but you still have the ones that lost family, that have no family, that traveled from the East Coast to the West Coast, completely don't know, what family's still out there. They lost everything. They try to make a better life here. I mean, I've talked to people that have been in the streets for 30, 40 years, and that's just the way they want to live. It's just this huge, cycle that they're in. Nobody wants to help them, right? So the help they get is like a couple of dollars and that's it. So one of the problems that we have with the homeless is the trust. So a lot of the homeless don't trust anybody. So when you build those relationships, they open up to you and they'll tell you, hey, this is a situation, and we're stuck. And when anybody walks by a homeless person, they just look at him, he's a junkie, he's a drunk and stuff like that. But in reality, when you do talk to them, they're just stuck, right? So and people think like, well, they can go get jobs. No, they can't. They don't have clothes.
Wow.
They don't have access to laundromats where they can wash their clothes. They don't have any of that stuff. So anybody that walks in the way they do, if you're homeless, that hasn't taken a shower or washed their clothes, they're going to get kicked out of the establishment. So they're not even going to let them in. They don't even let them in to use bathrooms. So it's like, what happens then? Then it ends up in the streets, and then all this other stuff happens up in the streets. So there's very little control over that, and people don't realize that. And then when you sit down with them and have a decent conversation, and just like this, and they open up to you and build that trust, and then all of a sudden they're like your best friends, and it's like I've heard of musicians, that are out there with their guitars and they're playing, and they were musicians at one point, and then now they don't have nobody. Nobody wants to talk to them. Nobody wants to have a conversation with them. So they're just kind of up there. But
no, I think it's really sad how we treat them. I mean, we're in the richest country in the world, right? And we couldn't even give Medicare for all the people who lost their jobs. We couldn't even help the homeless. And now with the new LA ordinance where camping is illegal, I mean, they don't seem to come up with solutions. No. So you being around them for so long, what are some solutions that you feel, are doable, are feasible?
I really, really, really think it's all about education. So that's the first, it's two things for me. It's communication and education. So if you can figure that stuff out and get people in a room, in the street, wherever it is, and teach them the basics, just the basics, because these people want to work. They want to, I get, when we go and do our projects or whatever, you have the people sweeping up, cleaning, throwing trash away. They want to work, but nobody's giving them that opportunity. And a bunch of them have a rap sheet and things like that, but that's not the solution, to send them to prison or to send them to jail or to any of that stuff. So
I agree with you.
You send them to that and they become more aggressive and they come out more aggressive, and then authority becomes they can't do anything. So the authorities are being aggressive with them. They're going to automatically be aggressive with the authorities. So it's building a relationship and talking to them, just like I have, getting them on the phone calls whenever they need something, things like that, talking to them whenever they're depressed or whatever, and just listening to them. That's it. And so you start building that trust and relationship with the communication, and then you sit down with them and try to teach them something. So that's my goal every time I go, is to have a conversation with somebody, educate them a little bit, and then try to get them going in a kind of normal path. That's, I guess you want to call it, but
a more positive direction, right?
More positive direction. The problem is funding. We don't have the money. If I could do this and I can pay my bills, but I'd be in the streets all day, every day. And that's why I built the foundation, to try to get to that point where if I can sit down and talk to these guys and try to get them a job or try to teach them just the basics, there's so much stuff out there, so much technology. It's just getting it to the right hands. And unfortunately, that if we do something like that and we do provide them with iPads, whatever, they end up selling it, and then, for the money, so it's counterproductive. But sitting them and sitting down next to them and teaching them little by little, motivating them just a little bit. Yeah. Sometimes it does work, but at the end of the day, we've had homeless people in tears. And we're talking about Ronald McDonald houses as well, and in tears because we're leaving. Like, that's it, guys. I mean, it's one time a month, we'll be back next month, and like, don't go, because we literally have a party in Skid Row. We put music, they dance, all the homeless people are dancing. And they know exactly what the music is therapy. I mean, I don't care what anybody says.
100%. That's my love language. Dancing and music. That's part of my love language. Yeah.
Yes. So that's why we try to have a little bit of fun. And again, we try to humanize them again and re-energize them and try to get a little bit more for them. And so that's why they're sometimes pretty sad that, we have to go. So, and let me get a little bit into real quick with the kids with the Ronald McDonald House or the hospital.
Yeah, go ahead.
They're the same way. They're almost excluded, right? So it's
marginalized.
Like, oh, they're labeled like, oh, they have cancer, they're lonely, and nobody really does. And there's a lot of help out there and stuff like that. But when you get a clown, that goes there and plays the guitar for them and does a magic show like Hiccups does, and puppet shows or whatever it is, just to put that smile on their face because they're going through this crazy, medical, I guess, treatments.
Yeah, they're just going through a very, very hard time.
Yeah, and just putting a smile for them, it's very, very motivating for us. So that's why we keep doing it, and we're going to keep doing it. So I've always said from the beginning until my last minute of breath is, I'm going to keep doing it until the last day. So whatever it takes, again, a kid in a wheelchair, an adult in a wheelchair, a grandmother, a retirement home. That's our next target, is a retirement home.
Yes, absolutely. Because those, it's just like, if you don't fit into a certain sector of society, you're super marginalized. And it's everyone that you have been talking about and then some. Correct. And expanding to seniors. I have a friend who's a DJ. He's actually teaching me how to DJ. And he used to DJ at senior centers before COVID hit. And music does something to you, especially when you have dementia. It really releases, like, I guess, endorphins and other things that you are able to relate or take you back to a place that you might not have remembered had you not heard that song.
For sure.
Yeah. So I really commend you for that. And, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, where did you get this love for the community? Where did you get this angst to, man, I need to help people? Talk a little bit about that.
The number one I'm going to say is my mom. And I lost my mom, 2 years ago to cancer.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah, but she was a very charitable person, and I just followed her lead. My dad is not an opposite, but he's more of the tough, business-minded, education type of person that just focused on let me get my family good, let's get a home, let's get a good home, raise us right, no gangs, no nothing, we live the street. I'm not gonna lie, we were part of the streets, when we were growing up, but there was no other way to get around it. So yeah, but we never really got into the whole gang kind of thing. So they raised us pretty well. And my mom was just a charitable person. So anybody she would see in the street, money, food, whatever, took in all my friends, all the friends lived at my home. My dad was like, no, and my mom was like, no, you come and take a room, take a bed, stuff like that. So that's where I got it from, 100%. So there was no, I've been charitable forever. So the lady with the kid with the oranges at the end of the freeway stuck my hand in my pocket, whatever I had, I didn't care. And people will know, it's just pull out whatever I had and give it to them, and no questions asked, no nothing. Here's oranges. No, I don't need the oranges. I mean, I'll take them, as a friend, but you're not selling me oranges for $100. It's $100. Go buy your kid something. To the little girl, like, that was selling peanuts, with their parents, giving her $100 in the winter, like no coat, like how are you, selling peanuts and it's super cold outside and you don't have a coat, that's not right. So, giving her $100 and saying, look, make sure you go get a jacket, get whatever, tell your parents. And I pulled up right to the parents. I said, I gave her money. Next time I pass by, she better have a jacket. She better have something. And,
Yeah.
She shouldn't be selling, but, if it's making ends meet, I'm going to give you money and I don't need your fruit or whatever. So, I want to give you guys money so you guys can, go to Disneyland, take them to Disneyland, do something.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's so sad to see that. I mean, you and I just listening to what you're saying, this is the reason why I have the podcast People Junkie, because you never know what kind of connection you're going to make or things that you have in common. I grew up in Pacoima. I grew up in a gang-ridden area, but my family, we were straight edge. We were all about school and cheerleading and all that good stuff. And my abuelita, when she was living in Tijuana, we would go every single weekend. Well, not every single weekend. It's actually once a month on a weekend. And I would see all these people going in and out of the house, and I didn't understand. And sometimes, she would not sleep in her room and she would give it up because she was charitable. And she didn't have a lot to her name, but she would give. And I felt that that's where I got that giving spirit as well. So I really appreciate, you sharing that. But I'm going to, for those who are just tuning in, we are with an amazing guest, Sergio Franco, also known as Klownski. And he started the Klownski movement. He's the CEO and founder of the Klownski Travel Group, as well as the Klownski Foundation. And we're so lucky to have him. And we're going to go more in depth. We did touch a little bit about the Klownski Lounge. If you can go a bit more depth into where it is, how people can join, and what you do there.
Yeah, so this whole vision that I had, it was several years in the making. So I knew at some point this was going to happen and I was going to open up a lounge. I called it a lounge because I wanted a mixed event space. So it wasn't like I was going to call it the Klownski Sports Bar or Klownski Club, nightclub or anything like that. so and still, I still get questioned with the Klownski Lounge. So, it's like, is there, a bar in there? Is there a sport? And it's like, no, it's a family lounge, but it's an everything lounge. It's an artistic lounge. It's an art gallery. It's a kids gallery. It's a kids zone. It's a kids safe zone. It's a family safe zone. Like anybody can come here and have events and be happy, doing it and doing what we do here. So the big inspiration was obviously art. I love art. I love creating art. Anything artistic, I'm good for. So when I saw the impact art was making with my son, who has a disabilities, listening to music and art put together, I said, that's it. That's going to be the focus point here. So as long as there's music and there's art, I don't care. We can have everything here. We can watch a Dodger game. We could watch a football game. We could, dance in here. We could do whatever we want in the space, be happy, and everyone enjoy themselves. And that's what it was. That's what it turned into. So me liking the early 20s, I like all the older music, from the 20s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's what we listen to at home with my kids. Like, I'm big in music, so I love all that early stuff, folk music. I mean, you name it. We love the blues. We like.
Oh yeah.
So all that rotates in here. So, I have everything from a gramophone. I have a bunch of antiques in here. And I teach kids about it. I have an Atari 2600.
Yes.
And connected to a 1981 Zenith TV that still works.
Wow.
And you just feel like you're back in the 1980s. So I love the 80s. I'm an 80s kid. And I have tons of vintage in here. So when the kids come in, it's like, well, what is this? And I start teaching them about, this is what it was like when I was growing up. It wasn't AirPods and, phones and none of that. So it was this stuff, and they enjoy it. That's the beauty, is they enjoy it. They're like, wow, this is pretty cool, and it's like, You don't see that around. Nobody has their 2600 anymore, their Ataris or anything like that. So
No, they actually package it in a different
yeah,
way now.
in a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, I grew up with Atari, Sega,
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's all
it was
coming.
amazing. And aren't you glad we grew up when we
Oh, for
did without social media? Because
sure. For
we could get away
sure.
with so much.
For sure. I love it. I love it. I mean, that's why that, that was one of the big things that it's like, I'm still a kid at heart. So I don't think I'm ever going to grow up. So it gets on my wife's nerves, but it's like, I'm going to be a kid all my life. So I'm going to joke around all the time. I'm going to make people laugh. I'm going to do dumb stuff. I'm going to make dumb, silly faces. And you guys are all going to be smiling all the time. So yeah, that's coming. The Nintendos are coming, all that Sega stuff is coming. But the main part in the front when you walk by is you'll see a 1981 Zenith TV and an Atari and all this old stuff. Everything in that corner is me. So there's a symbolic, everything there is symbolic for me. And so if you can figure that out and why, then you'll know who I am. And so, so the lounge was created for the family. And we do so many things here.
Where's it located?
It's located in Pomona on 2nd Street. So it's 151 East 2nd Street. Anybody's invited. Oh, everyone's always welcome. So I think there might be a little misconception with the memberships that we have, but you don't have to be a member to be part of the lounge. The membership is only for perks and things like that. So and extra incentives for people that are donating and stuff like that. So that's what that member, it's more like a rewards membership. But other than that, it's open to everyone. Everyone can join, everybody can come, everybody can have fun. We have paint nights, we have movie nights, we have karaoke nights, we do it all. And sometimes we do have adult nights, again, we do need these breaks. I'm one of them, where I'm the dad and of a child who's disabled and I get burned out. I just get burned out. The beauty is that I bring my son here and we have fun and we all have fun together. So it's not like a break, like I need a break by myself, but sometimes we do have adult nights where it's just adults just come and hang out and laugh and get all that anxiety, that depression, everything out. So it's not a sports bar and it's not a nightclub. We don't have drunk people. There's rules here. You can't come in drunk. You can't leave here drunk. You can't, do any of that stuff here. It's a safe zone for families. So every time somebody comes, almost every single person says, man, it's like a primo party, or it's like my tío and tía's house party, or, that when you come in here, you become family. So period. And you're a Klownski, you become a Klownski and your family, period. And we've been able to put that out there and people just love it.
With COVID and the Delta variant, and now I think it's called the MU variant, what are some of the precautions that you want individuals to take if they're heading out to the Klownski Lounge?
Well, definitely one of the things we're doing right now is we're not overcrowding. So there's a lot of space in between. And that's where we're getting hit a little bit because we want more people to come and we're trying to figure out how to do things outdoors and things like that. But if they come here, we don't want to overcrowd the space. Definitely require them to tell us if they have the vaccine or not. We know that doesn't prevent spreading, but it helps. Masks required. If you're eating, drinking, you can, take them out. You have to be, at least 6 feet. We have fans, we have power fans going on. We disinfect. There's all around the lounge. There's a bunch of disinfectant sprays, things like that. We have volunteers that go around cleaning the tables and things like that. But unfortunately, there's no real, I feel, a stop to the virus, but I try to send out as much emails and posts as much as I can to, if you feel like you're sick, or don't even come around. If you've been around somebody that's been sick, don't come around, things like that. We just got to follow the guidelines and hope that at least our foundation can survive. There's not a whole lot of help out there, but just be responsible, and try to, keep your masks on and get tested, things like that. But, unfortunately, there's no, way to, people carrying vaccine cards. I mean, they can print out a vaccine card from their computer. So just be responsible, and hopefully they are, and we can continue smaller group events and stuff like that. But we're working on some outdoor stuff, so hopefully we can get some outdoor events going, things like that.
Yeah, I know you have a beach event every year, right?
Oh, we do. Yeah, that grew very big, very fast. So again, that was one that started with, I think it was just family and friends, maybe 20 of us, and now it's like a couple of thousand. So that's more an event to raise awareness. So we try to do something different every year. And again, COVID kicked our butt, so we couldn't do a whole lot, but it was pretty bbig this year again. And usually we tied yellow ribbons or whatever we're raising awareness for. So one year we did the disability community, and then we did cancer with the yellow ribbon, the green ribbon for the disability, and then the blue ribbon for the autism. So this year was just, let's see what happens, type of thing. We weren't even sure what was going to happen. So I just said, hey, let's go and let's have a beach day. And it turned out all right. Everybody was kind of spread out, but you see, tons of blue, when you see a bunch of blue canopies and Dodger flags and stuff like that. And people obviously ask, well, what the heck, what's going on here? You got Dodger fans in Orange County. Then it creates a little bit of a buzz. So, we start getting, people messaging, and how do I become this, or how do I join? How can we come? And it's like, it's free. you guys just come to the beach, we raise awareness. So, but that's always a good time.
Cool. So with the few minutes that we have with this podcast, if you can go in and talk just a little bit about where you see the expansion of the Klownski movement. Are you going to have more Klownski lounges, or what's the future for the movement?
So the vision hasn't changed, at least for me. I mean, we have board members, we have staff, and we all kind of combine forces and try to figure out, what do we do, how do we do it, and when do we do it, and things like that. So we move very lightly. So we're starting to get a little bit of partnerships. Obviously, we have a pretty good relationship with the Dodgers. We'll continue that relationship. We're starting to build a relationship with Food for Less and different sponsors, Pomona Pizza Company, things like that will help us kind of move things along. And obviously with donations and grassroots donations where, people can donate, great. But our funding is probably a lot of the big funding is probably going to come from grants and stuff like that. But definitely 100% Klownski Lounge expansion. So open up different Klownski lounges in different areas. Again, I make it fun rather than an office. So I'm not going to do a Klownski Foundation office. It's going to be, you're going to come in here. It's probably going to be like a little circus, and you're going to have fun. You're going to have fun when you're talking to me about the different programs I'm going to qualify you for, and families that need help financially and connecting them, because that's what we do, right? We bring in the families, and then especially the Latinos that don't speak English and stuff like that. So we help them with programs and how to fill paperwork out and deal with social workers and stuff like that, because sometimes social workers don't help. So we're that layer right in between. We're that layer right in between that. So you don't want me knocking on your door. So, and you don't want, 1,000 Klownskis in front of your door. So they usually listen to me. So
maybe you need to, right?
Yeah, especially, no, no, you don't want to, we made a significant impact at Disneyland and several business establishments where a lot of the protocols were broken, and I just didn't like, and I'm firsthand because I have my son. So if I see something broken, I'm going to address it. And I put this Disneyland on check already. So I don't mess around, and then again, I don't, you just don't want me knocking on your door, because I know what the certification process, the letters, the cease and desist, every single legal remedy that's out there. I know it. And you don't need a huge, big time lawyer and pay thousands of dollars, because I've been there and I've already worked with all these lawyers with my finance side. So addressing any issues or any ADA issues is pretty simple for me. And once they hear about me and receive a letter from me, then usually the things get corrected. And like I said, we made a pretty big change at Disneyland in their process and things like that. So I'm going to continue that. You know, I'll be the fight, the mouth, the eyes, the hands, whatever these kids need. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to box with whoever's willing to box with me. So I'm going to represent them until the end. And again, I'm such an aggressive person in my business side. I've been in collections and billing and the whole finance side that, you know, I won't go away until you get things fixed and addressed.
So basically, you want people to see you with a smile and the big red nose, not with a frown and the big red nose.
No, you know, or a mad, the mad clown is the word. So
my gosh, no, it. We don't need it here. Okay. So before I ask you the last question, if you could actually give your social media handles, because we are also on Spotify, if you could spell out the name on the social media handles, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, well, if you guys want to learn more about what we do and our mission and our visions and things like that, it's easy. You go to our website, which is www.klownski.com. So that's www.klownski.com. You'll pretty much find every single thing there that'll link up to all of our social media and Instagram and Facebooks and, you know, things like that. So on Facebook, the easiest way you're going to find everything we do is hashtag Klownski. So it's the little tic-tac-toe sign and KLO, Klownski. And you'll find every single group, subgroup. We do everything. So our biggest group page is the Klownski Travel Group. So if you're on Facebook, you look up Klownski Travel Group, and then you'll find everything there. You can find the announcements section, and you'll see all the links and stuff like that. On Instagram, it's Klownski. You got the same thing, Klownski Foundation, Klownski Lounge. And then if you go in the bio sections, there's a new thing called Linktree.
Oh, yeah.
And if you click on the Linktree, then it'll direct you to every single different link that we have available. If you need help, if you're out there and you're depressed and anxiety, if you know a family that needs help financially, that maybe a Klownski doll might help, some consultation, some financial consultation, whatever it is, feel free to email us at klownski@outlook.com. And we're fast at responding, and we'll take care of whatever needs that you need, whether it be from us or from our referral system. So that's one of the goals that we are working on, is building a network of good people and a Klownski network. So eventually that'll happen, and we'll have everything from, you know, physicians to doctors to therapists to financial lawyers.
Wow. Yeah, you're getting me excited here. You're getting me excited here. Yeah. No, I really appreciate your time that you've given People Junkie, and your story is amazing. And I really hope that people do connect with you and that they actually reach out to you, because it sounds like you have amazing services. And I definitely have to go, you know, and be part of your travel group. My brother actually went to San Francisco with you, and he was talking about it. And it was a thing that I definitely have to go to. And speaking of your travel group, okay, the biggest question yet of the night, we're going to close out with, will the 2020 World Series Dodgers make it to this World Series? Will they go back to back as MLB World Series champs?
Well, you know, I'm not going to answer that question. I'm going to let somebody else answer that question. And oh my God, am I on camera? Of course they're going to win the World Series. Yeah, let's go Dodgers. Let's go Dodgers. So this is the Klownski. So that's actually Klownski there. So he's made a lot of people smile. So I think we are.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I appreciate you coming on People Junkie. I hope your foundation continues to grow as much and as well as your travel group, and that you continue growing your lounges. And lastly, let's go Los Dodgers, right?
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well, again, that was Sergio Franco, aka Klownski, and he was just an amazing guest to have. I'm so excited to be bringing you even more stories as you continue to listen to People Junkie. So thanks for joining us today, and make sure you check us out on all our social media. And if you're on the go, no worries. You can listen to us on Spotify and soon on Apple Podcasts. Remember, wherever you go or whatever you do, put a smile on your face. You might not know whose day you'll make. Ciao for now.